Hi, I'm Luna Anna. Thank you for joining me here. As always, I'm here to assist the ascension process by healing the patriarchy with love and helping other people to do the same. Today, I just wanted to come on with a short message, which is about patriarchy and how patriarchy exists because people see through the eyes of the ego. And there's two parts to this. So one part is kind of like the lived reality of that, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then the other part is the kind of like the enlightened universal, your universe's view of that. So there's kind of like two sides to it. So I thought I would share both of those in the spirit of being accessible for everybody. So let's talk about seeing through the eyes of the ego. The ego assigns value and worth to things based on what it can get. Yeah. So whether it's getting its needs met, and its needs are just insatiable. So they're changing all the time and growing all the time, and it wants more and more. And so in a world of patriarchy, you can see that it is born through that, through people. Sorry if you can see the door moving. It's actually one of my cats just coming in. I do try to keep them out, but they just will not. They love to be on the videos, so they might jump up in a minute. We'll see. Seeing through the eyes of the ego. So the ego is kind of like wants to get its needs met. Its needs change all the time. It's insatiable. It's like a big black void hole, basically, that just could be filled over and over again. It would just be emptied out because essentially the ego is empty. So what happens when people see through those eyes of I want, I need, I must get, things have only got value and worth if they're giving to me those, meeting those insatiable needs of mine, is it starts to get projected onto people. And in patriarchy, that gets projected onto everyone. It does also get projected onto men. I know we tend to think of patriarchy as being men and women as being the victims, but actually everybody's the victim of patriarchy. It's just that women are possibly like the greater victims, if you like. So what happens is that gets projected onto them. So women are only worth stuff, for example, if they're pretty, if they're a mother, if they're doing all the cleaning, if they're also doing all the domestic labour, if they've also got a job as well. They have to be everything to everyone, basically, to have any worth under patriarchal society. And it's a bit different for men, but they do also have a similar thing with that, because they're seen through the eyes of this ego instead of just being seen through the uniqueness and the beauty of themselves as an individual, and everybody knowing that everybody's got worth just because they exist. Yeah, that's all you need to have any value or worth. You just need to exist. That's it. So what happens is the other side of this is that seeing through the eyes of the universe, patriarchy actually doesn't exist, because it's the eyes of the ego that considers things to be patriarchal. And I know this is a really tough one to kind of to get, because we're like, oh yeah, but patriarchy, because we can see it's hurting people and we can see the damage that's caused, and no doubt, as a person, individual on this planet at this time, patriarchy will have done something to hurt you at some point, if it isn't just continually hurting you, because it can do. And we know that exists, and we know that that's happening, and that is a reality for people. But in the eyes of the universe, everything is perfect and is just a way of bringing the shadow to light. So really what we're seeing in terms of patriarchy, and what we've been seeing for centuries, and I think we're all sick and tired and fed up of it now, because we have been seeing it and we've been existing under it for centuries. But what's happening is now it's so obvious and so very in our faces, because it's actually being healed. So it's being brought to light. If it wasn't brought to light, it wouldn't be so obvious and so painful. So it's this great big wound that's been created over these centuries that is just basically being brought to air, like you bring the air to a wound, or you bring it to light, and that's what heals it. But sometimes that might sting. That essentially is what's happening now on the planet at this time. So I hope all of that just helps you to give a couple of different views on it. I do have lots of other videos with different views as well, alternate views to what I've just shared, so you can have a look through. There is something for everyone, and you're more than welcome to come and be with us all and to join us on the ride of healing the patriarchy with love. And I will put in the comments my socials and things like that, like where you can find me. And I've also just started a shop, so if you like guided meditations, you might like to go there and just have a look, because I've got some guided meditations with light transmissions that are really potent that are for sale in that shop. So I will also put the link to that down in the comments box. And as always, your comments and thoughts and views are very welcome, so please join in and write something in the comments. Okay, darlings, well, thank you so much for listening and for being here, and take lots of care and enjoy your weekend. Bye.